Welcome back to Counting the Cost, your one-stop shop for business and economics here on Al Jazeera. Industrial disputes are becoming more common in China as there is, would you believe, a shortage of workers. Japanese automaker Honda is just one of many companies facing up to strikes. The workers are also demanding to form an independent union, which are officially banned. Harry Fawcett visited one of China's industrial hubs in Foshan to see what it might mean for the country's behemoth economy.
Crossing the border from the city-sized Foxconn electronics plant into the actual southern Chinese city of Shenzhen, a spate of worker suicides has brought unwelcome attention to the regimented, some say military style of management here. And so the Taiwanese-owned firm has responded, ordering compulsory days off and announcing a two-stage pay rise which will see the wages of even its worst-paid staff double to nearly $300 a month by October.
I've been working here for a long time now without a raise. It's pretty boring, but I should be happier now.
I think I might leave at any minute. A lot of places would pay me more.
Those are sentiments which resonate with 25-year-old Wan Yong, a former Foxconn employee who voted with his feet, finding better paid, more enjoyable work in nearby Foshan.
I think there's a big difference between our generation and our parents. They were harder than us and they wanted less. We are never satisfied with the status quo. We're always pushing for a better life.
One works as a salesman for an aluminium door factory. His boss, just 5 years his senior, has studied modern management techniques and says the relationship between employer and employee in China is changing.
In the past, we thought we could solve problems by hiring more workers, but now things have changed. We realize we need special and talented staff, so how to keep them at our factory? We need to recognize them with more money and more respect.
And that's what workers were demanding just down the road at the Honda factory, emboldened enough to fight both their bosses and the Communist Party-affiliated trade union, which in an irony of history sided with the capitalists against the workers. Their two-week strike shut down car production around the country and secured them a 35% pay rise.
But whatever the change in their attitudes, the workers' strike here wouldn't have been successful without two key factors in their favour. The first is demographics. Many analysts say the size of China's working population has already peaked, and that's especially the case in these coastal regions as more people choose to work closer to home inland. That means there's a labour shortage in areas like this. The other factor is politics.
You may have expected a little bit harsher response of government if it was, say, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But now the government's priority is how to address income distribution, because they see if there is no improved income for workers, there's no sustainability of economic development model in China.
It all comes down to the future of youngsters like these 18-year-old Honda interns relaxing in their dormitory after a day's work. They need to become consumers themselves if China's economy is to progress to its next phase. A 35% pay rise just a month into their working life seems like a good start.
Now, he lost billions of dollars through his trading bets and almost crippled the bank he worked for. So you can imagine the interest as the trial of one Jerome Kerviel began. Used to work for the French banking giant Société Générale, denies he was to blame for the losses and insists his bosses actually encouraged him to take risks. Barbara Serra filed us this report from Paris.
Jerome Kerviel has been called a rogue trader, a financial mastermind, and also a scapegoat for the excesses of the banking system. But over the next 3 weeks here in Paris, it's this court that will decide what the truth is. We've now become used to speaking of banking crises and bailout packages to the tune of billions, if not even trillions of dollars. But we must remember just what a massive impact the actions of Jerome Kerviel had. He cost his former employer, Société Générale, more than $6 billion. But crucially, what he did is that he left this French banking giant incredibly exposed. At one point, he had more money invested in bets than the value of the bank in the stock market. Had the bank folded, told that it would have had disastrous consequences for the French economy and the French public as well. A public which has been in many ways very surprised by the developments of Société Générale and all the losses that were accrued by Jerome Kerviel. They always thought that their banks were immune from some of the excesses of their Anglo-Saxon cousins, but it may well be that that is found not to be the case. So even though this is the trial of just one man, just one trader, ultimately over the next few weeks, it may be the French banking sector which is found guilty by public opinion. This is Barbara Serra for Counting the Cost at the Palais de Justice in Paris.
Now, you can't have missed the hysteria, the start of football's World Cup, the first one to be held in Africa, but on a more, perhaps, capitalist note, it is quite frankly a huge money spinner. Just take a look at, for example, the fees paid for broadcasting rights at both the 2010 and the 2014 Cup final still to come. Italy tops the table, paying $444 million. Together, the top five are almost paying $1.8 billion. Now, just how much is FIFA, the sports governing body, likely to earn from 2010? Plus the deals at the marketing and the sponsorship, well, according to SportCal, $3.34 billion they'll get. The total prize money for this tournament, it comes in at $420 million, because all those footballers need more money, don't they? And just to get the tournament to where it is, organisers in South Africa spent more than $5 billion on 5 new stadiums and renovating a further 5. According to the accountant group Grant and Thornton, the projected economic impact once the winner's been crowned will be $11.8 billion. So clearly, FIFA is one of the richest, the most powerful sporting governing bodies in the world, but its financial strategy isn't without its critics. Rahul Pathak has more now from the World Cup in South Africa.
Amongst all the noise and the vuvuzelas, there's a battle going on at this World Cup, and it's not just the one on the pitch. Being one of the most watched sporting events on the planet, the World Cup is also one of the most sought-after events for corporate sponsors.
Well, this is Bafana Day, a chance for the local fans to come and show their appreciation for the South African football team, or I think somewhere in that melee over there. It's also a chance for all the sponsors to show themselves off to as many people as possible. In fact, at the World Cup in Germany 4 years ago in 2006, sponsorship earned FIFA a cool $900 million. And that's a figure that's expected to go up this time around in South Africa.
A recent report from sports marketing group SportCal found that FIFA was set to earn $3.35 billion in commercial revenue. That's an increase of 44% from the last World Cup. And it's companies like McDonald's that go a long way towards filling their coffers. The fast food giant are one of 20 sponsors for the tournament, and it's a relationship that goes back 16 years. In that time, they persuaded many of football's biggest names to get on board and get on message.
Some would say that McDonald's sponsoring a major sporting event isn't an obvious choice. I mean, what do you say to that?
I think people are always the wrong reason to criticize any kind of things like that. So that's coming from everybody. But the fact is, McDonald's supporting the World Cup, but supporting as well the fact that the kids, they are the love of the games.
Adidas are an even bigger name when it comes to branding. They're given the grand title of official FIFA partner. But despite being the official sportswear of the World Cup, rivals like Nike can still gatecrash the party by sponsoring individual players. And it's not just about the big corporations. It seems everyone is trying to jump on the World Cup bandwagon.
And how many do you sell in a day normally?
In a day I can sell it 15, 80. Yesterday I was selling 45 of them.
But will the gravy train last? A worldwide recession may soon have an impact on events, even ones as big as the World Cup.
I think undoubtedly it's on a commercial path. I think the true test comes when the contracts need to be signed in a major downturn. These contracts were signed, for instance, before 2008. In 2008, would boards have been that willing to trump up so much money for these sponsorships?
But for now, the big winners at the World Cup remain FIFA. They only get this chance once every 4 years, and you can be pretty sure they're going to cash in.
And looking ahead even further, Qatar has ambitions to host the World Cup. It's bidding for the 2022 edition of the tournament. Problem though, it's hot in Doha. I mean, really hot. Summertime temperatures habitually in the mid-40s, if not higher. Very high humidity as well. Not exactly the conditions you want to watch or play football in. Apparently though, there is a solution at hand. Rosie Garfoot has more on that.
It's summer in the Gulf and the air conditioning is up high. An estimated 60 to 70% of power usage in the region comes from AC alone. And between June and September, that pushes power consumption up by 150%. But it's not just a problem at this time of the year. Qataris lived the traditional nomadic Bedouin way of life for thousands of years. But now the booming population, industry and city are competing for resources. Qatar certainly doesn't want to sacrifice its growing presence on the world stage.
So the proposed route is going to be using all solar panels all over the stadiums.
The focus of Qatar's World Cup bid for 2022, an environmental way to cool the 12 new stadiums for players and visiting audiences.
We're going to have carbon neutral FIFA World Cup in 2022.
And how much is it going to cost the government to achieve that?
That question, we can't answer that one. That's okay. All right.
Finally this week, proof that technical problems can hinder the best of us.
I don't know what's wrong with our networks.
This was the launch of Apple's latest iPhone, but CEO Steve Jobs couldn't get online to show off the apparently new and improved display. He blamed journalists for clogging up the internet connection in the room in San Francisco. He asked them all to log off, which is certainly not what the Twitter generation wants to hear. Of course, when Jobs did get to show everyone his new toy, it proved to be as progressive as every iPhone model before it, reminding us that while necessity is the mother of invention, invention is the mother of more profits. An iPhone, of course, a nice way to catch up with Counting the Cost online. Here's our website. You get there from the programs link at aljazeera.net/English. We put a weekly blog up there. There are previous episodes of the show. Special web-only content goes up there as well. Plus, here's our Twitter page. Find out what's coming on next week's show. Catch up with some interesting business news. Send us your ideas if you like. At AJ Counting Cost is the name to look for on Twitter. But that is it for this edition of Counting the Cost. I'm Kamal Santamaria from the whole team. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.